Hey YouTube, what is up? Ntriver64 here. So today in this video, I will be doing a review on LEGO Star Wars for the Game Boy Advance. Before I begin, let me just clarify, I've played about 80% of the game. I gave up the last 20% of the last few parts of the game for I felt they were too grueling and very combat oriented, but I'll get more into details on that in the review. This game essentially takes place during Star Wars prequels. The prequels being the 3 episodes that took place before the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th Star Wars movies. With that said, I wouldn't watch those movies to just understand the storyline of the game, because the game is essentially you playing those characters in each movies and trying to play the game in the way the movies played out. The reason I wouldn't recommend watching those movies is that they were the absolute worst Star Wars movies ever made. If you think Darth Vader being Luke's father was bad, this is a lot worse. This is a lot worse. It's full of cheesy holes that make no sense. So this game doesn't actually have bad graphics for a Game Boy game at all. I'm really quite impressed, to be honest. Although I freely admit the isometrics of the game can be quite confusing, especially since this isn't really 3D. And if there is a wall in the way of your view, it makes things very confusing. But that's nothing you shouldn't expect from a Game Boy Advance, to be honest. This is probably as close to 3D as you can get on a Game Boy. But with that said, I next noticed while playing this game that the game is insanely combat oriented. The combat is quite irritating, to be honest, about the game. It is mostly about seeing who can attack the fastest. And for you, it will be pressing the attack button faster than the CPUs can attack. Not only that, throughout most of the later levels, they expect you to be insane when it comes to combat. I don't know how they expect you to be ridiculously good at the game, especially when it feels like the objective of the game is to press buttons faster than your opponent can react. Which is kind of lame if that's how you expect to make the game more interesting. But anyways, not only that, a lot of characters in the game are kind of lame. Each character has their own ability and weapon of choice. The only good characters, in my opinion, are the characters you get introduced to in the first part of the game. The rest of the characters I didn't feel were quite well developed, to be honest. All the characters, minus some of the bosses in the later levels, are worth playing. You can replay the levels in the game as any character you want after buying the character in the game with the points you obtained during the gameplay. That would have been a lot more fun if the characters were better developed. Like Anakin has some of the worst power-ups in the game, especially for such a main character. He can only throw his lightsaber and use it like a boomerang. That would be cool if it wasn't so difficult to aim. And, the game's isometric. It's impossible to aim. Or pretty close to it. Same thing applies to blasters. Like characters with blasters, minus the fact they can access certain parts of the game, normal characters can't use. Using a blaster is painful because it can't aim. The game's isometric. Also, attacks have serious delays to them. You can't move while attacking, making combat rather painful to do. Like, for instance, lightsabers are the worst about this. It is so bad, I must stop attacking, turn the other direction, and risk being shot at and attack the enemies that way if I attack an enemy the wrong direction. Not fun if the game is so combat oriented. There are some nice touches to the game though, although I haven't messed around with this too much. There are a lot of hidden levels and parts of the game that are not easily seen. If you are doing free play, which is the mode for playing levels again after you've beaten them, some characters can access parts of the game you would normally be able to go through. I guess that's an added bonus for if you beat the game, or levels for that matter. Lastly, the second episode was extremely disappointing. It was just one level. I don't know why they did that, to be honest. I thought it was kind of weird. Would I recommend this game to a friend with a Game Boy Advance? Probably not. The reason being that this was one of the first LEGO video games ever made, and they drastically improved the games for the Wii, the Nintendo DS, and later consoles. Don't get me wrong, this game wasn't all that bad. It was just when I beat the first episode, it started going downhill. They kept trying to make the game increasingly more difficult in a way I didn't think was entertaining at all whatsoever. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe this video for more like it. I definitely had a lot of fun making this, and bye.